Hi Ravens time, good morning. It is Tuesday morning and we're just diving into the altars, Wildness and Beauty. And so I wanted to share some of the books from the readings that you're doing this week and to say hello, and I hope you had a lovely long weekend. You know, this idea of altars and wildness and beauty and thinking of the landscape as an altar. Is kind of like the bringing together of all these ideas that we've been exploring. But I remember one time I was looking at, I have kind of little altars all around the house, and I was looking out the window, and I was thinking about these ideas that we've been talking about with turquoise and immigration and water and language and skulls and culture, and suddenly the top of the land became an altar, and I thought, what if we placed with intention, as much as we can, what we would hope for the land, just as we create altars, and that's where these ideas came from. So let me show you some of the books. I have my stack here, but let me show you some of the books that we're reading. One is, well, first of all, the Ravens Time piece that kind of kicked this all off, and I wrote to you in the weekly overview about how this happened, and that whole idea of choosing beauty. And if you those little bits of beauty, I kind of felt like Hansel and Gretel, or Gretel, where you just follow like the next little breadcrumb and the next little breadcrumb, or I guess, and maybe the ravens ate the breadcrumbs, so then she laid down stones the next time, but the next stone and the next stone, and that is really how when I was thinking about these ideas, that's really kind of how I experienced life. It was too big to think about, like suddenly, I don't know, seeing beauty everywhere. But I thought, if I could just take the next little tiny bit of beauty and nothing, they weren't fancy, they weren't expensive. Like I mentioned, it was the way like the candlelight on the ceramic rim of my coffee cup in the morning, or the way the sunlight caught the tips of the chamisa when I was running. And I literally just kind of went from little tiny piece of beauty to piece of beauty, until it kind of had a snowball effect. And here we are. And so Raven's Time, the first piece that you read this week, again with that idea of landscape as altar. We have talked about many of these ideas. You've read about Sarai and my experiences with her before. And that's the idea, is what can we intentionally place on this altar of our landscape. One of the pieces that you're reading from, this is Keith Basso's Wisdom Sits in Places, Landscape and Language Among the Western Apache. I love this book. And so this is one of the first readings that we're doing this week. And you're also reading from He of the Beautiful Irish Brogue. This book from John O'Donohue, Beauty, Rediscovering the True Sources of Compassion, Serenity, and Hope, The Invisible Embrace. I love these ideas. And so this is, and then he reads one of his poems aloud. I included that in his beautiful brogue. And another thing, now this I didn't include as a reading, I included as a video, and that is Elaine Scarry. I don't know if it's pronounced Scarry or Scary. I assume it's Scarry, but it's this on beauty and being just, and her ideas of beauty as social justice. And so there's a video of her giving a keynote where she really explores these ideas, and she takes what I think can be a very ephemeral, very abstract idea, and breaks it down into, this is what beauty as social justice looks like. So here's that book. We also have a reading, and I included images from Denise Lynn, her book on altars and bringing sacred shrines into your everyday life. And so these, I just love this is a beautiful book full of photos of altars. And so and this was the creation of altars. Mostly I just wanted to show you some of these images right here of different altars. But we have a reading from this book, and we also, oh yes, have a reading from, I love this, Jay Griffith's the Wild and Elemental Journal, a journey, and you read Wild Earth from her piece. Any of these people, if you want to read more or see more about them, feel free to Google. I saw there were a number of interviews by Jay Griffiths on YouTube, which you can Google. I'm going to include, I mentioned this Making a Literary Life. I have not scanned and uploaded the pieces for this week that I'm going to share, but she's got a great kind of recipe for a writer's life, and it's either the 17-minute chili recipe or the 17-hour chili recipe. And so I wanted to, so I'll make sure and upload that for you. There are some others that if you're looking for other resources, one is Beautiful Necessity, The Art and Meaning of Women's Altars. This is a wonderful book. Another one, and that's by by Kay Turner. Another book, A Book of Women's Altars. And this, How to Create Sacred Spaces for Art, Worship, Solace, and Celebration by Nancy Brady Cunningham and Denise Geddes. And I love this, The Land's Wild Music, and this is very much about the landscape. Encounters with Barry Lopez, Peter Matthiessen, Terry Tempest Williams, and James Galvin. Can't go wrong with any of them, that's for sure. So anyway, so I just wanted to read to you this little bit from Wild Earth that I share from Jay Griffiths, because her language, I just think her language is so beautiful. And so I was just going to read the first chapter. I'm not the first chapter, the first paragraph. I felt its urgent demand in the blood. I could hear its call. Its whistling disturbed me by day, and its howl woke me in the night. I heard the drum of the sun. Every path was a calling cadence, the flight of every bird a beckoning, the color of ice an invitation. Come. The forest was a fiddler, wickedly good, eyes intense and shining with a fast dance. Every leaf and every breeze was a toe tapping out the same rhythm, and every mountain top lifting out of cloud intrigued my mind, for the wind at the peaks was the flautist, licking his lips, dangerously mesmerizing me with inaudible melodies that I strained to hear, my ears yearning for the horizon of sound. This was the calling, the vehement, irresistible demand of the feral angel. Take flight. All that is wild is winged, life, mind, and language, and knows the feel of air in the soaring flight, silhouetted in the primal. I love this sentence, and I'm not even sure I know what it means. All I know is there's something that touches a deep kind of visceral place inside me when I read it. This was the calling, the vehement, irresistible demand of the feral angel. That whole idea of feral angel. And like I say, I don't even know that I can articulate what it means. All I know is I can feel it. So I'm so looking forward to this week, and perhaps for your creative expression, I don't know, you might want to create an altar. You might want to create a physical expression. One of the idea that I mentioned at the end of our weekly overview is the landscape as altar, as cultural altar, as physical altar, as spiritual altar, as political altar, as whatever speaks to you. What does that look like? What would you place on our landscape to create an altar of the land? Okay, I can't wait for this week.